Congressman Adam Schiff, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee. You have obviously read the 28 pages, Congressman Schiff. What can we draw from that? They're still classified. Should they be released? What do we know about the Saudi role?
Andrea, they should be released, and I think, as is often the case, the speculation about what they contain is more damaging than, in fact, with the contents of the 28 pages. The 28 pages were produced by this joint inquiry by the Congress after 9/11, looking at what role the Saudis or Saudi government may have played in 9/11. It's really a set of allegations more than it is a set of proof. And the 9/11 Commission thereafter looked into those allegations. They weren't able to substantiate them. But I think this mystery about what's contained in the 28 pages is really the most damaging, and I don't see any reason why they can't be redacted to preserve sources and methods, but released by and large to the public.
Well, Phil Zelikow, who was the chairman of the 9/11 Commission, the executive director, rather, said they shouldn't be released because the includes, as you've just said, unverified FBI and other information. So it's like a big data dump that hasn't been properly analyzed or vetted. Couldn't it make things worse?
Well, it has been analyzed and vetted, though, in the sense that the 9/11 Commission looked into this. It was not able to substantiate it. And as long as, we present the public with those facts that these are allegations, they're not proofs, and that when we did look into it, we weren't able to corroborate it, I think it's important to get this information out there. And I don't think that the sensitivity of a foreign government ought to stand in the way when we can protect sources and methods from the release of this information. So I think it's in our interest. The Saudis have often felt it was in their interest to have these 28 pages published, and I think that's what we ought to do.
What about the fact that the Saudis have threatened to dump more than $750 billion in U.S. treasuries, basically dump U.S. assets to hurt our economy if legislation favored by the 9/11 families is passed, which would strip the Saudis of immunity to be sued for damages for their alleged involvement in 9/11?
Well, as an economic matter, I think the Saudis would be unlikely to fall through on that threat. It would undoubtedly, though, affect the U.S.-Saudi relationship. But the bigger issue, and I can well understand the value of allowing the 9/11 families to seek compensation, but the bigger issue, I think, may be whether this would open us up to other countries seeking compensation from the United States. Would this, for example, open up claims by Iraq, by Afghanistan, against the United States people who lost family members in those wars to seek compensation from the United States? So we really need to think through the consequences, the downstream consequences of this. We all favor allowing those 9/11 victims to, follow the responsibility trail wherever it leads and seek compensation. But we also have to be concerned about when we remove the immunity shield that foreign governments enjoy, it also means they may remove the immunity shield that protects the U.S. from liability that their citizens could bring against us.
But bottom line, the 9/11 Commission language clearing the Saudis was really very lawyerly. They say not at the senior level of the Saudi government. Doesn't this leave a big hole for the possibility that Saudi officials or members of the royal family were financing these hijackers while they lived in San Diego and elsewhere undercover?
Well, I think the difficulty is this. You certainly had Saudi money going to al-Qaeda, Saudi money going to fuel a lot of terrorism. You have Saudi support for these Wahhabi schools that are part of the ideological indoctrination for a lot of the violent jihad that goes on around the world. And it's not hard, even with that being the basis of the case, to say that Saudi Arabia bears a responsibility for terrorism. So you can make, I think, a legal case, even if you can't prove that this particular Saudi minister or this Saudi royal family member was directly implicated in the plot. And therein, I think, lies the challenge. There are certainly indications of Saudi money going. The question is, was this knowing to high-ranking people within the royal family or the government? Those allegations have never been able to be corroborated or confirmed. And I think that's where the debate really is, between a knowing level of support, and the fact that through a lot of Saudi charities, money made its way from Saudi Arabia into the coffers of al-Qaeda and other extremist and terrorist organizations.
Adam Schiff, Congressman, thank you very much. Thanks for being with us.